but I do believe I stand with Stephen Greer where I know that the government definitely knows the technology, like 0 point energy. The conspiracy theories, like, the past 3 years have all come to be true. So I'm like, we need a different name for conspiracy theories. Maybe it's a critical mind thinker, or and it's only a matter of time. And if we get someone like Bobby in there, you better believe it. He's going to definitely disclose it. But I think he's one of the most caring people I've ever met. And he knows how to kind of like bridge the gap to kind of like explain things in a carefully in a beautiful way so people can understand.
To kind
Yeah.
of get up on stage and sing and perform to thousands of people, televised as well to millions of people.
Yeah.
It just must have been such a rush.
It's the biggest high you could ever receive. It truly is the experience you have energetically on stage when you're feeding off of a crowd. There's nothing like it.
The following is my conversation with Jessica Sutta. Jessica is an American singer, songwriter, and actress, and a former member of the Pussycat Dolls, who sold 55+ million records worldwide at the time of recording this introduction, making them one of the best-selling groups of all time. Jessica later released her own music as a solo artist, with songs such as Show Me reaching #1 on the dance club songs in the American charts, as well as numerous other top 5 hits. Recently, Jessica's been involved with React 19, which looks to support people suffering from long-term COVID-19 vaccine effects. In this conversation, we discuss UFOs, Jessica's take on the current climate of UAPs in her industry and friendship groups, and the possibility of groundbreaking technology and government secrecy. Jessica was a real pleasure to talk to and super down to earth considering her profile in the public arena, which was really, really refreshing. So, the following is my conversation with Jessica Sutta.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time. If it's okay with you, I just wanted to sort of jump straight in, first of all, with what kind of first piqued your interest in the UFO, UAP kind of subject?
My interest started when I was looking at the sky one day and just like realizing how massive and incredibly huge the universe is. And I thought to myself, how silly is it that we would think that we're the only beings in this huge universe? I think there's so much more to what we see or what we've been taught our whole lives. So I think it's silly for us to think that there's nothing else out there. And that's kind of what piqued my interest. And I don't know, I think also following like your Instagram and just looking, down the rabbit hole of UFOs and so many sightings. I don't know, it's definitely piqued my interest for sure. And I just have a feeling they're going to disclose some information very soon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What do you make of the sort of sudden change? Because I mean, I've been following the subject for quite a long time, and
Yeah.
it sort of last kind of, I'd say, 3 or 4 years, it's really kind of, they've turned the kind of heat up on the subject in the media and the press. Whereas previously it was kind of, it was late night TV, cable TV. It was kind of the
Right.
spooky X-Files music played in the background and stuff. And whereas now it's like,
Yeah.
the Pentagon are talking about it, the White House are talking about things in the sky we don't fully understand.
Right.
So it's like quite a change. Do you get any kind of an idea on why? I mean, I'm in the UK, so for
Yeah.
me, I don't, we don't get much in terms of press. We're getting some slowly, but it seems to be
Yeah.
very dominated over there. Do you get any
Mhm.
sense of why that is? Why things have changed or why we're kind of moving?
Well, in my personal opinion, I follow Stephen Greer. I think that he definitely has a good insight on this. And with disclosure, gosh, like 25 years ago, when he really disclosed that there's actual alien life and they have proof and, they're good aliens. And, I think he set the stage up. For me, I think they can't hide the fact that there's aliens anymore. So I think they need to like get ahead of it. But in a lot of ways, I do think a lot of it's fake. I think it's to distract us from certain news, certain things, because I do think the world is a full stage. And that's just my opinion from my past experiences the past year. And yeah, so it's interesting that all of a sudden they're starting to, but I do believe I stand with Stephen Greer where I know that the government definitely knows the technology, like 0 point energy, where they who knows if they got this during Roswell when they captured the aliens and there was that whole thing. And I know that they created their own type of UFOs, own type of cylinder, like different types of aircrafts that are starting to appear a lot more. And then also the Space Force that they've created. I know a couple people that have joined the United States Space Force. So I think they're gearing up for, I don't know what it is, but I hope and I pray that they don't give aliens a bad name, because I do believe that I don't think aliens are bad.
Yeah. Have you kind of narrowed down your opinion of what? I mean, there's obviously a lot of debate in the subject, and certainly within the UFO community. And I hate to sort of use that term because I think it's way more mainstream now. But there's kind of this kind of discussion, debate, should we say, whether it's extraterrestrial or interdimensional or time travel. There's all of these kind of different theories and hypotheses. But have you kind of narrowed down your opinion as to what you think the phenomenon is?
I think it's bigger than what we can comprehend as human beings. I don't think our brains can understand how deep this goes. I do believe in interdimensional beings. I do believe in time travel. And I think the government and people above us, right, they do know that. They know that for a fact. And I think it's been hidden. I think that human beings are actually a lot smarter than they make us out to be. I think they kind of dumb us down by fluorinating our water, and that calcifies the pineal gland, because I do believe that human beings have telepathy and are able to be psychic and are able to have so many different magical powers. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to narrow it down to just one thing because it's ever expansive,
Yeah.
And that makes it exciting because, who knows, like they might have technology with the aliens that will heal diseases and cure cancers and all of that, and I do believe, I see a lot of videos where there's like a time traveler from 2075 or something. And they're telling us all these things that are happening. I honestly, I question everything. And I'm interested in everything because I don't doubt anything. I don't call anyone a conspiracy theorist. I want to lean in and hear what they have to say, especially what's happened and what's transpired in the last 3 years. I question a lot now.
Yeah, this is it. Well, everything's a conspiracy until it's not, until
I know
until
that's
it's
the
proven
problem.
right.
The conspiracy theories, the past 3 years have all come to be true. So I'm like, we need a different name for conspiracy theories. Maybe it's a critical mind thinker, or
Yeah.
So.
Do you find that you have to sort of in your industry and in the public eye, do you find that you have to kind of moderate your kind of are you careful about talking about this subject with people unless you kind of know that they've got an interest in the subject as well? Or is it something that you're quite open to talk about, your interest in it?
I would say 3 years ago, I probably been more apprehensive to kind of speak like a conspiracy theory and have these kind of questions about the universe and medicine and whatever. But that's absolutely changed for me. I'm not scared anymore. I am who I am, and I'm allowed to use my mind as you are and everyone else. And I definitely don't hold back with the way I feel. I do think in the industry, you kind of are like a little puppet. You got to say the good things and the right things. But for me, I think life is way too short, and I'm going to be who I am. And if people can't accept that, that's great. But I know for a fact there are people that do accept it and do have a lot of respect for me as I do for them, because it's time to stop keeping these secrets. It's so silly, it's just keeping us in a box. And like I said, it's like the universe is so massive. Like, why are we not tapping into the fact that there is a possibility of other beings and extraterrestrial life around? I think that makes life so much more exciting.
Yeah. Have you been following the stuff in? I'm assuming you sort of following the stuff in Congress with David Grush and members of Congress kind of trying to push this forward.
For sure.
Do you get a sense of? For me, like the Pentagon came out a few years ago and said, "Look, we've got this footage. It's real. we're not going to say what it is, but this is real footage. Navy pilots. The White House have said
The
yes,
Tic
there are.
Tac, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely, yeah. And I think John Kirby, the sort of came out and as part of a White House press conference and said, yeah, these things are real. They are interfering with our military base. Again, he kind of fell short of saying what it is or what he thinks it is or what they think
Of
it is.
course.
But then we kind of have Arrow, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who run Arrow, which was the Pentagon's team set up to look into this. And he kind of put some stuff out a few days ago, basically saying, this is something set up by a load of conspiracy theorists, and there's nothing really to it. So I'm kind of like,
Right.
for me, from someone in the UK looking over in America, like, well, which is it? This is something,
Mhm.
and we need to look into it because there's a phenomenon we don't understand it, or is it just
Right.
nonsense? They're kind of
Mhm.
backwards and forwards, and I don't understand what they're trying to
Well, that's
do.
the gaslighting part of it, right? They don't want you
Yeah.
to know that. They don't want you to understand that, like, this is a possibility, and maybe that they are the good guys. The extraterrestrials are the good guys, but they want to instill fear in us to think that they're the bad guys. They are different than a human being. They are different. They have this technology that would absolutely change our whole world. It would stop poverty. It would stop hunger. And it's very selfish of them to kind of keep this information from us, And a lot of people that have come across this technology have been, mysteriously suicided and things, I don't know. It's a very interesting but exciting time. But like I said, I do believe that the government does have this technology. They think they stole it from maybe the Greys or whatever. And that's why you're seeing the Tic Tacs. That's why you're seeing these aircrafts that I think it's called 0 point energy, where it kind of it looks like a torus, and it has, I can't explain it very well, but it doesn't need, it feeds off of air and oxygen, and it just moves, and it can move in different ways, and it's pretty fascinating, so.
But with that in mind, do you think that we'll see disclosure? I mean, there's a lot of talk that we may be close. We may be on the kind of the this year potentially, or to some kind of formal, this is, because I think realistically they're probably not going to come out and say this is what we have and this is kind of how you make it, because then foreign adversaries will have, be able to kind of develop it. But so I kind of get that side of things and why they would need to keep that side of it secure in the same way that they do with sort of nuclear energy. Is like, yes, we have nuclear
Right.
energy, but we're not going to tell you how to make a bomb, that, which
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
do you think that we're likely to get the first part, which is essentially this is real and we know what it is and we're not alone? Or do you think we're going to be having the same conversation, generation after generation after generation?
I think they have to slowly integrate it into our society, because I think it's going to really change everyone's whole perception on religion, on the world, on everything. And it could create chaos. I mean, I think that's why they don't disclose certain things, But of course, everything's been running wild. All the conspiracy theories, a lot of people are witnessing all these aircrafts above their house. I'm like, why isn't anyone looking at this, I don't think they can hold the information for much longer, but I think that information and their technology would transcend and evolve our species and our world, and change it for the better. That's what I pray for.
Yeah, me too. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So I saw that you were at an event with I want to say Robert Kennedy Jr. a few
Yes.
nights
Yeah.
ago. I also saw a quote from him. I did write it down here so I didn't get it wrong, because I
I
thought this
did
was
see
quite
that.
interesting. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I'll read it out for anybody that will be listening in. So the American people deserve to know if information about UFOs is being kept from the public and what it entails. When I am president, I will disclose all information about UFOs to the public unless there is a compelling reason not to do so. So
Right.
first of all, did you manage to ask him the question?
I haven't had a chance to talk to Bobby about that, but man, that's the next question I'll ask him.
Yeah, that would be great. Interestingly, I've seen a couple of clips sort of floating about in the past where he has talked about, the potential of disclosing stuff and,
Right.
the universe being just too big and too much that we don't understand. So I kind of get the feeling that he's interested in the subject and certainly interested in disclosing secrets, you know, given his family past and stuff.
Right.
So yeah,
Not. Yeah.
which kind of comes onto that last kind of sentence in there, unless there is a compelling reason not to do so. And this is kind of why this is what I'm kind of thinking when I look at the psychology of, there's got to be some real good people in government as well as some not so good. There's no doubt about that. There's got to be some people that you would think, some people that think that they're doing the right thing for the right reason. So I wonder, I mean, can you think of a reason why it would be fair to kind of not disclose that information? Because I mean, even a future president potentially is like, well, there could be a reason, and if there is, then it's got to be compelling, but it could be a reason not to disclose it. And I'm trying to think to myself, well, what could that be? You know, unless it's a total, you know, meltdown of society based on some information, then I can't see a reason not to at least disclose we're not alone as a bare minimum.
Right.
I mean, is there anything? I mean, I was talking to somebody earlier on, and you know, the only kind of negative side of this is not the only, but one of the negative sides of the subject is things like abductions, and you know, some of the negative reports that we're having from people. Do you kind of worry at all about the negative side of it? That there could be some negative aspects or negative beings that, you know, aren't here for peace and you know, prosperity and helping us.
That's actually very terrifying. And you know, I think there are probably species that don't want what's best for, you know, humans. But I do believe that there are really beautiful, caring aliens that maybe watch over us or maybe do help us and walk amongst us, that are like shapeshifters or whatever. I think when this information is disclosed, the problem is that when you're taught something to be true your whole life, and then it breaks that, there's a lot of anger that actually falls out of that. And there's also, then after the anger comes grief, and after that, so it's like, it's a cycle. So I think when they do, you know, introduce it to society, they have to do it slowly and gradually and make sure that people don't lose their mind. Because I think it's going to change their thoughts on religion. It's going to change their thought on the whole universe itself, because we're taught that that it's impossible, and that, you know, they're just like in movies and they're whatever. But I think a lot of things are hidden for a reason. But like I said before, I think it's technology that would absolutely transcend our society and stop all these bad things from happening to our world, and stop starvation and heal, you know, these horrible illnesses that are occurring nowadays, you know. Introduce us to that 0 point energy where you don't have to have wires everywhere. You know, and it's better for the environment, and it's, you know, and it's only a matter of time. And if we get someone like Bobby in there, you better believe it, he's going to definitely disclose it. But I think he's one of the most caring people I've ever met. And he knows how to kind of like bridge the gap to kind of like explain things in a carefully, in a beautiful way, so people can understand. And we have never really had that, I think, as a president. You know, it's always been very aggressive, and you know, and I think it's like one of those things where he can like kind of like lovingly take care of us in that way and say, hey, well, this, I just found out this is it, and then let's talk about it. Let's not, and everything's just not black and white. Let's just talk about it, have that conversation, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, why don't we change the world while we're doing it, you know?
Absolutely.
So yeah,
we certainly need that, not just in the US, I think in the UK, all
everywhere,
over. You know, we
everywhere,
just
the
need
whole
some
world.
honesty. Yeah, some honesty.
We need some
and
honesty,
respect.
because we lived in a very deceptive time, and I think it's a lot longer than we've ever even imagined. You know, my whole life changed in the last 3 years, and I see the world completely different. So of course my mind is more open to the possibility of aliens, but I don't think that the aliens are bad. If there are bad aliens, I think that it's not real. I think it's some sort of technology. Like there's a rumor that in Miami at Biscayne, I don't know if you heard about this over the UK, that there were aliens, right? That people saw these, what was it, 9 to 10 foot aliens, and they were, you know, no one could capture it because it was so scary. But I think it's so unworldly that people are going to be in fear, and people are going to shoot at it. They don't understand it, you know. But who knows if that's real? What if that's a hologram made from a laser from above, you know? Like I said earlier, it's like the Stephen Greer, where he has disclosed that aliens are real, but they're not out to hurt us. But the government does have the technology, and there could be some sort of false flag to kind of instill fear in us, you know, to stop us from really knowing the truth. But unfortunately, we're very smart beings, and can't hold secrets for that long. You can't hold them forever. Usually the truth will always manifest, as we've seen, you know. So
What's it like in your I mean, are people talking about this? Do you find it sort of friendship groups? And I mean, certainly for me, I've noticed in the last kind of year or so, my dad is a prime example, and I know my dad watches this stuff. So if I'd have talked to him about this, so if I'd have talked to him about this subject several years ago,
yeah,
he would have told me I was an idiot, and to be, in a nice, loving way, but
of
don't be
course.
silly, Whereas now,
Mhm.
I think he's as far on the other side of the fence as I am now, which is interesting.
That's
Um,
cool.
do you find the same sort of thing? I mean, are people, your friendship groups and family and stuff, are they kind of moving in this kind of direction of believing this subject and feeling that this is a legitimate thing?
100%. I think that people are open to the possibility and very excited about the possibility. And then I think with the internet, allowing to be able to witness and see podcasts like yours, or follow Stephen Greer, or Billy from Forbidden Knowledge, the way they talk about the Anukai and all of these like different type of species that you can really educate yourself. I think people are really, really leaning in to the possibility, you know. Even a theory that Jesus Christ was an alien, you know, like he was a different being. He was, I guess it was the Anukai. I might, please, if I'm saying it wrong, you know, but there's all these endless possibilities, which would make sense because aliens have the ability to heal, and he was able to heal people with his hands, to allow vision to the blind, just by touching them, you know. I think the possibility of that is absolutely stunningly beautiful. And I hope that when this is introduced to the world, that we can see the magic and the miracles within it, you know? So,
Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm, I really hope that we kind of get to a stage where we can start improving the world, kind of one step at a time, really. But
right.
if it's okay, I'd kick myself if I didn't ask, really, because the elephant in the room. Really, you were in the Pussycat Dolls and touring the world and
Yeah.
top selling music. What was it like? What was it, what was it like touring the world and kind of being on stage all the time? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, I don't mind you asking at all. It was magnificent. It changed my life in a way that it was just so exciting. And I went to places in the world that I never thought I'd ever go to. We were based in London actually a lot. So I got to really enjoy the culture in London and get to make friends all around the world. It was absolutely a beautiful experience. And I will never, ever forget the experiences that I had. I mean, and the stories are great. They're really great. If you have a couple hours, I can tell you something though. But it was really wonderful. It was a once in a lifetime experience, and I do miss it. I do miss the 20,000 people screaming and so excited that we were on stage. And I love being able to be a part of pop culture that kind of like helped a younger generation, or had someone to look up to. I think that's one of the biggest honors of being an artist or a celebrity or whatever. Definitely wouldn't go back. But I'm really grateful that I had the experiences. I love all the girls very much. And yeah, it was like 10 years. Like, I
Yeah,
don't even remember most of it,
must have
you
been a
know?
hell of a rush. Hell of a
It
rush.
was
I mean,
right.
I can't, you can only you can only imagine somebody in my position. I've never been on a stage. I've never, spoken or
Mhm.
sung in front of lots of people, but to kind
Yeah.
of get up on stage and sing and perform to thousands of people, televised as well to millions of people,
Yeah.
it just must have been such a rush.
It's the biggest high you could ever receive. It truly is. The experience you have energetically on stage when you're feeding off of a crowd, there's nothing like it. I think that's probably why people get into trouble with like substance after they get off of stuff, like, because it's like it's such a high, and you want to try to have that high again, but nothing will give it to you like that. The different type of high that I got was having my son and looking into his eyes. That was one of the like better highs I've ever had in my whole life,
Yeah,
very transcendental for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Look, Jessica, I'm really conscious of your time. Can I just ask what you're working on
Yeah.
at the moment, or you? I saw some things with to do with sort of long COVID and support for people
Yeah.
with long COVID.
Right. I'm on the philanthropic side of things. I retired musically. I mean, I do some things here and there, but for me, my main focus is helping the vaccine injured and the bereaved. I'm the creative director of React 19. It's a nonprofit organization for the vaccine injured and the bereaved, and I'm doing a lot of lobbying, even though that's not really my thing. It's hard for me to kind of sit in front of a congressman and have them disclose these stories, and there's nothing that they don't understand. That the person next to me is talking about how their child passed away from this technology, and it's just like, so it's hard. It's definitely been a very strenuous and hard struggle getting this through. And I think, like I said earlier, when people have been kind of lied to, or they've been told that this technology is safe and effective, right? And when they realize that it's not, it's a lot of anger, and then comes a lot of grief. So it's been a lot to kind of open people's eyes, but I will not give up, because it is very important to me to heal this community, because we're suffering pretty bad. I still have a pretty gnarly condition where I can't dance or be active. But for me, I don't know, being of service in this world is truly important to me, and healing, this community that has been shunned by society, censored completely, so it's awful that humanity has gotten to this place, but I pray that their eyes can become open soon and understand that not everyone had that experience, but there were adverse reactions to this technology. So we just need to stop calling it a conspiracy theory, stop censoring us, and just truly get the medical help that these people need, because it's getting to a point where it's going to get too late. And people are going to die suddenly from these conditions because they're not getting the medical treatment, or they're getting boosted when they shouldn't be. It's a very touchy subject, but thank you for letting me talk about it, because I know we were going to talk about UFOs, which I was super excited about. But yeah, my passion 100% is to just stop this from happening to anyone else. So maybe the aliens will come in and just like help everyone.
Maybe.
Wake up.
Maybe. I mean, this is it. Bring people together and bring some new technology and some new techniques, and fingers crossed we get some positivity from it. I think that's a good place to sort of wrap up. I'm really conscious of your time, and thanks so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it. And fingers crossed we'll perhaps talk again in the future. Post disclosure would be lovely.
Anytime you want, I'm here. I love this. Anytime you let me know.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. Take care of yourself.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.